Today, Kamp Kenan is at the Busch WIldlife Sanctuary, where this episode comes with a warning for those of you who are sensitive or squeamish. 3 otter pups were rescued from a car accident this morning, but sadly, their mother didn't make it. Today, her injuries will be explored during a fairly graphic necropsy. This video is not for everyone. There are 2 things I've loved most in this life: bikes and reptiles. Now I crisscross the globe learning about all kinds of incredible animals. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Other times I'm in over my head. But one thing's for certain, we'll come away a whole lot smarter after every adventure. This is Kamp Kenan. So not all the time do we have fun news here on Kamp Kenan and the Busch WIldlife Sanctuary where we're at. We're in their hospital. Apparently we have a dead otter that was hit by a car this morning. David went on the rescue. He actually got her and her 3 babies. She was alive, but unfortunately, in looking at the x-rays, you noticed there was some problems in her abdomen.
Well, we're very lucky because when we looked at the initial x-rays, the bone structure looked very, very good. But things didn't look right in the abdomen, and we were actually waiting for a response back for our veterinarian to evaluate the x-rays. Sadly, she expired in the interim, even while we were doing supportive care. Right now, I want to take a look and see if we can see what happened on the inside. I'm assuming that she probably had some pretty extensive internal damage, and that's why she passed away. Luckily, when she was hit by a car, the person who stopped not only found her, but also noticed that there were 3 babies that were not far off. And he stayed and actually watched and waited for us to get there. We were able to secure the mother and secure the babies. And even while we've been working on mom, the babies have already started to eat, so that's a good step.
That's a definitely good sign. And it's the hope, as with everything that happens here at Busch WIldlife Sanctuary, their prime goal is to educate and to rehabilitate animals and get them back out into the wild. So unfortunate that mom passed away. We're going to do that exploratory necropsy right now, but we're going to get these babies back out into the wild as soon as they're able to be. And fair warning, folks, if you have a weak stomach, you may not want to watch this. But again, this is all to find out what exactly went wrong. David, you want to take us through what you're...
Well, just taking a look, initially we did want to get into the body cavity and take a look and see, kind of confirm for us, the reason for the animal passing away. And I'll just tell you right now...
internal bleeding, right?
Yeah, internal bleeding. I mean, just the whole inside is completely bloody. One of the things that I noticed... Something's ruptured here. One of the things I noticed, it almost looked like there was stomach contents that was inside the abdomen.
And actually there's an odor coming off.
There's an odor. Yeah.
So usually with that odor, I mean, that's from...
Well, here's a stomach right here, which actually looks intact, but... But clearly there was internal hemorrhaging that was here, and even with our supportive care that we were doing, when you have an animal like this that ends up getting hit by a car, and having that type of damage, there's not a whole lot that you can do.
Right.
I'm surprised that there were not more fractures, on the body. So who knows? The car may have run right over her and just hit it perfectly in the abdomen, missed the pelvic bone, didn't fracture the spine, but clearly damaged the organs enough, probably through compression, and causing the organs just to go ahead and explode and the animal to hemorrhage out.
Yeah.
For us, Kenan, our main goal is to be able to rehabilitate the animals and release them back out to the wild. And we're often dealing with very traumatic injuries, and when you have an animal like an otter versus a vehicle that might have been traveling 50, 60 miles an hour, the injuries there are always going to be very, very extensive. Externally, she looked great. The fact that we got the pups was great, but this is all too often the end of the case for us. We probably have about a 35% success rate with the animals that come in of being able to go back out to the wild. So keep in mind, 65% of the animals that come into us have been injured too severely to successfully rehabilitate them and release them.
My goodness, yeah. So it's very important, if you're in animal corridors, to try and keep your eyes on the pavement. Be a little more conscientious of those animals. All right. right, so it's a little bit of a bummer, obviously, the mom's not around, but you know, David, these babies are starting to eat, which you said was fantastic. And what do you think the end result will be? How do you get these animals back out into the wild?
It definitely looks like these guys did not receive any injury whatsoever. They must have been far enough away from mom so they didn't get any injuries. The fact that they're already starting to go for food is a fantastic sign for us, because one of the hard things is getting otters to eat to begin with. You know, judging with mom and the size of the otters, it looks like these otters have already gotten to the point where they were weaned. They probably really weren't nursing very often, if at all, from mom anymore. So they've been eating. Now, the fact that we've got the three of them together is a real positive, because in that case, these guys can actually continue to learn from one another, imprint on one another, and not necessarily get accustomed to people, so that as they grow, they hopefully will grow up to be wild otters, and then when it's time to be released, we'll have a successful transition out to the wild and they'll do just fine.
Very cool. Now, when you guys, you know, when you're caring for them, how hard is it not to have these animals in? And isn't it something that you, as an animal lover, you feel like, you want to coddle these animals and so on, and that can be a very bad thing, isn't it? When
Well,
being
yeah,
wildlife rehabilitator.
absolutely. The last thing that you want to do is spend too much time with them,
Okay.
because they become imprinted to people, or they become habituated to people. We've got a couple of situations that are working on our side here, and that is, one, they've already started to eat, so that's one thing you check off the list that we don't have to, you know, worry about. Number two, we have 3 otters together, so we know that they're going to spend time together on their own. And the other thing too, because they're not injured, it means that we have to have minimal contact with them. If you had an animal that was injured, or an animal that's going to need medication on a regular basis, there is a lot of handling that goes on there. In this situation, there will be minimal handling, so things are really working out in our favor, which is going to be a much bigger plus for them. And again, that successful release back out to the wild.
So let me ask you this. So when do you make the decision that these animals are ready to go back out in the wild?
A lot of it has to do with a few things. One, swimming is kind of a learned behavior for otters. You may think it's always instinctive, but them developing great swimming skills, being able to dive, being able to capture food. I mean, initially the food that we're going to be giving them is going to be non-living, so you'll be putting fish into a pond and things like that, letting them, you know, forage for the food, bring the fish back up, eat it, slowly introducing them to live food. Otters don't just eat fish, they eat a lot of other things: frogs, birds, lizards, turtles.
They're actually ravenous, aren't they? They're pretty good hunters.
They are. I mean, you know, people are surprised. I had someone the other day that actually sent me a picture of an otter that had caught a duck and was eating the duck, and they were shocked.
Yeah.
But that's a common diet for them. The next thing is size. You want to make sure that they are big enough to be able to have good maneuverability, so that they can escape predators, and they have the ability to be able to chase after prey. And once you add all of that up, and you see that these otters are eating well on their own, they're thriving well on their own, then it's picking a good habitat. You want to try to go close to where they were, because you don't want to overpopulate another area, but you want to make sure that they're going to be in an area that can support them, and they'll be able to continue to thrive for the rest of their lives.
Fantastic, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck with these guys. And there you have it, folks. You know, Busch WIldlife, David Hitzig doing another fantastic job here, trying to get some animals that were in harm's way back out into the wild. Always do a good job there, buddy. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, man. Don't forget to subscribe down at the bottom for more exciting stories like this. See you soon.